I don't have a great memory, and I blame genetics. My grandfather could remember 20 verses of a poem that he learned in primary school, but not what his grandkids were called. Not that he didn't love us, of course he did, and he showed us it in plenty of ways, but his memory would let him down. My father has the same issue, and so do I. I don't remember much of school, and only a limited amount of college. I struggle to remember life before my 20s. But there's something I do remember. I remember feeling ill-used by life. I'm sure my mum would tell you that I said, "It's not fair," all too frequently. Looking back, I would probably have to change many of the times I cried, "It's not fair," to "I don't like this situation," as I have a sneaking suspicion that most of the time it was fair, and I had brought the trouble onto myself. So today I'd like to take just a few minutes to see if the world that we live in is a fair or a just world. Philosophically, these two terms seem very similar. The word fair means to be free from self-interest, prejudice, or favoritism. And just actually uses the word fair in its description. It says being just is to be morally right and fair, or to have something deserved. I stand today before you in full knowledge that we live in an unfair world. I was born into a loving family that wanted me to be part of it. Certainly until I reached the age of 2, at which point doubts about how useful a member of the family I might be started to surface. I grew up in a comparatively wealthy country, Scotland, in a reasonably peaceful society. I was rarely hungry until I became a teenager, and I've been pretty hungry ever since. And I've been healthy for most of my life. And when I wasn't, I had access to great medical care. I know that many who are born into this world cannot say the same. Many are unwanted and unloved. Many are in abject poverty and are hungry to the point of death. It seems that the world is very unfair, but it's also unjust. Evil things are done to people and to nature. Can we as humanity point to something outside ourselves as the source of blame for this unfair and unjust world? Unfortunately not. The fairness of this world, or lack thereof, is almost entirely the making of the people of this world. There's no good reason for people in this world to be hungry. The world can supply enough. The population of Africa, for example, is about 1.2 billion people. Ethiopia, the country within Africa, has about a third of its land used for agriculture, unlike the UK, where it's closer to 70%. If Ethiopia were to use the same farming techniques that we use in the UK, without using any more land, they could feed not only their own country, but every person living in Africa. And Ethiopia is not the only country in Africa that's capable of producing food. And even yet, the people of Ethiopia are starving. Why? People. People are the biggest problem for people. Your kid is being bullied. Why? People. Your husband cheats on you. Why? People. Your wife is an alcoholic. Why? People. There's a rise in knife crime. People. There are corrupt officials. People. Drug abuse is rampant. Why? Because of people. You self-sabotage your own life. Why? People. You are people. There's a brokenness about all people that have caused our world to get into such a desperate strait and in desperate situation. A world full of hatred, selfishness, clawing, backbiting and jealousy. I understand why people feel overwhelmed and depressed when they look at how broken our world is. As a Christian, though, I'm neither surprised by the state of the world nor overwhelmed by the seemingly impossible task of living in this world. You know, when the Jews left Egypt, God gave them the rules that they were to build their new society on. If we were to look in Exodus 20, you'll see there what we call the Ten Commandments. Some of the Ten Commandments, just the last few: honour your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which the Lord your God is giving to you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbour. You shall not covet, that's desire, your neighbour's house. You shall not covet your neighbour's wife, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is your neighbour's. But Exodus goes on. In chapter 22, it says, you shall neither mistreat a stranger or oppress him, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. You shall not inflict any widow or fatherless child. If you afflict them in any way, and they cry at all to me, surely I will hear their cry, and my wrath will become hot, and I will kill you with the sword. Your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless. If you lend money to any of my people who are poor among you, you shall not be like a moneylender to him. You shall not charge him interest. Jesus explains more about God's mind in this. He says, you have heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not murder, one of the Ten Commandments we just read, and whoever murders shall be in danger of judgment. But I say to you, whoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. If we were to fully live out these rules all the time from the depth of our hearts, our world would quickly sort itself out. But the Old Testament, it's full of examples of the Jewish people, despite being given these rules directly from God, they didn't obey them. Sometimes they even forgot what the law was. So they didn't obey these rules, and we don't obey these rules. So why don't we? Why don't we all just stop doing things that hurt other people and do kind things all the time? Well, the answer is because we can't. We all fail. We fail each other and we fail ourselves. When I was a child, I looked outward for the source of my sorrow. Now I look inward. The Bible calls the outworking of this inward brokenness sin, which is an archery term, which means to fall short of the target. We all sin. We all fall short. And it is very natural for us to say, but they fell short first. I am this way because so-and-so did this. Or I would do this good thing, but I can't because of this other person. But at the end of it all, we are all responsible for the choices that we make and the things we do. The Bible tells us that our sin has wider consequences than just destroying our lives and the lives of those around about us. You see, God is just, and He cannot let sin go unpunished. The Bible tells us that the wages of sin is death. We will all physically die, and that is as a result of our sin. But we're all spiritually dead as well, and that's a far bigger problem than physical death. But we do not need to stay under this judgment. We do not need to face the terminal consequences of our own failures. There is hope. There is a solution to this world's problem. There are those who would tell you we all just need to work harder to be nice to each other. But thousands of years of experience would suggest that they are wrong. We can't fix ourselves. We don't have the ability. the self-control to always do the right thing, and we can't deal with the eternal consequences of our sin. But there is one who can. One who lived a perfect life. One who did walk in perfect love, serving others. Jesus, who was God manifest in the flesh. He understands us. He walked amongst us. He knows what it is like to be hungry and tired, to be hated and beaten, to be betrayed by a friend and see people he cares about hurt themselves and die. He sees our brokenness and offers healing. He offers us hope. He shows us his love by dying in our place, to take the punishment that was rightfully ours. They tell me that a good relationship is built on give and take. Well, Jesus takes our sin and our punishment, our brokenness and our pain, our hate and our rebellion, and he gives us his righteousness and his forgiveness, his healing and his comfort, his love and a place in his family. To be able to do this, it cost him. It cost him his life. He went to his crucifixion knowing what was going to happen. He went to Calvary knowing that he could stop it, but loving us enough not to. He died so he could offer us life. And as Jesus says in John chapter 10 and verse 10, I have come that they might have life, and they might have it more abundantly, or to the full, it could be rendered. So, what do we have to do to take advantage of this great offer? The answer is spoken clear and plain by the Apostle Paul. Believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, and you shall be saved. Note, it's not just believe that he existed, or just that he died in your place, but rather believe in him in the way that the climber believes in the rope, or the skydiver believes in the parachute. Jesus said to those who believe him in John chapter 16 and verse 33, "These things I have spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world." I have no doubt that some people have been offended by what I have said today. They will say that others have done far worse than they, that if God existed, he would deal out judgment on the evil people and the world would be better. But I would caution you about crying out for God to pass out judgment, as a holy God would undoubtedly have to judge you for the evil that you have done. You should thank God that you live in an unjust world, as you would have to die if this was a just one. As my mother often said, the pot should not say to the kettle that it has a black bottom. If you're watching online, feel free to like and comment, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any future content from us. Nathan will be back next week speaking at the same time, and just a quick reminder that our special Christmas Carol service is going to be held on the 19th of December this year. Okay, thanks very much.